Well, Jhana, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. And as you know, you're one of the first 5, so this is super exciting. I think you bring just an incredible perspective to the audience because you work with so many people, varied businesses across the United States. Well, I'm not even sure all where you work, but you've really focused on making successful operators, which you and I both know means then the founder gets to go live life or sell for more, right?
Yep.
And so I just thought, all the things you bring to the table across all the themes you see with all the people you work with of how they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
And how they inhibit the number 2 from flourishing. But tell us who you are, a little bit about what you do, and who that, your favorite client to work with is. And then in terms of the exit conversation, I'm sure people come to you and say, I want to sell this pretty soon. Like, how do you go about working with them? And what are the common problems you see? Like, they say they want an exit. They say they want a number 2. And then, here's all the stuff that we got to get through. So take it away.
Amazing. So my name is Jhana Li. I'm an operations expert. And my background is as a COO for various businesses. So I was in that number 2 role. And I still to date really see business from that perspective. I've now started my own company. And what we do is we help founders understand the operational bottlenecks. We actually audit the business and tell them, this is why you're not growing as fast as you want to. This is why you've hit a revenue plateau. This is why you aren't as valuable as you want to be when it comes time to exit, right? So we literally break that down for them. And then our unique methodology is to go find that number 2. So either they have this person internally and they just need to be leveled up into the role,
right?
Or they really don't have that person, even if they think they do, right? They might have somebody in the role who's not actually the right fit. And we will go out, we will recruit that person, plug them in, set them up for success, and then support and execute through them to bring all of this change into the business. Because you asked, well, I'm going out of order here, but you asked, what are the common mistakes that entrepreneurs make as it relates to operations? I would say the biggest one is that they put all of the responsibility and pressure on themselves to somehow magically be great at operations.
And everything else.
And everything else, right? Even though they hate it. Right? Like no founder I know is like, oh yeah, SOPs, love it.
Give me an SOP.
Give me an SOP, right? Like no one is, it's a totally not just different like competency and skill set. It's a totally different lens that an operator has in a business. And so the big permission slip we give to our clients is actually, you will be of highest value towards your definition of success, whatever that is, if you can stay in the visionary role and you can drive massive levels of growth and leverage. The operator's job is to free up everything else that you may be doing so that you can just double down and do that. But you get to be and live in your zone of genius, and the operator gets to be the person that supports you in making that transition.
In terms of the exit conversation, it likely creates some turnover. So good luck selling a company when there's not somebody to stay with the company post-transition. Have you had some experience with that?
100%. And it was one of my learnings in our early days where we were creating these incredibly powerful, up-leveled operators. They're so emboldened, they're so ambitious, they have all these skills they now want to bring into the business. And the CEOs we worked with didn't actually know how to let the number 2 be a true number 2. They'd never worked with that role before. And so they would accidentally stifle, micromanage, take away autonomy, veto projects, undercut authority, all these things we just said. But the operator got so frustrated, right, that sometimes they would just leave. And that's not success. Nobody wants that. So the responsibility on the CEO is, as the day-to-day starts to come off of your plate, it's your responsibility to start growing and leveling up into a new version of yourself.
Exactly.
A new leader.
Level the identity of, who am I without the doing?
100%.
And the clarity of what am I going to be doing after this exit and what does that get for me? To me, that's a big key to people's success. You got to start on that early. Because as you're giving, first, at least from my perspective, and I'd love for you to chime in on this, I have people get rid of stuff they don't like and they're not good of. They usually don't have a problem doing that. When we get to the place where we're moving from generalist to specialist, we've got this up-leveled number 2, and now we're replacing my stuff.
The zone of excellence.
Like, oh, wait, now I really am being replaced. And yes, I said I wanted it, but who am I without that? And I have a client where I've said to her, you've got to start figuring out where you're going to get your love. Right? It can't be here if you're going to exit, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, that is one of the most important journeys, is the CEO figuring out I'm the issue. And I really need my number two to be go be awesome.
Yep.
And I need to move obstacles, provide resources.
Yep.
But my biggest job is developing myself.
Yep.
And become externally focused and figure out who's a great person to acquire me. And then I got to say, okay, what do I need to build in here so that they want to acquire me? And then hand the number two, here's how are we going to build this?
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. So as you think about it, so I've been a CEO, I've been at the top, I've done all those roles. I've had to do the journey and have had the benefit of, like, if I just give these people resources, I can sleep in. I don't have to work Fridays. I can leave by noon on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I never have to answer a call on the weekend again. My thing was only call me if the building's actually on fire. And
Right.
since I currently work in a virtual business, there's never a building on fire, right? So I've been through the journey, and it's like, once you've become what you need to be, let me say, I still have my own growth and development plan. We always do, but I've already become that person who doesn't get in the way of the operator and is like, I want you to be awesome. What do you need to thrive and achieve these goals? Not necessarily with me, but like, go do it, right?
Yeah.
But you have a unique perspective, having been a chief operating officer, and then that's your passion to grow these other operating officers, to change the world, like achieve these big goals that entrepreneurs and visionaries come up with.
Yep.
What do you see from your lens and your angle of what are the big things you see that the CEO has to do that nobody's told him yet? And the ego won't let them see. Their wife probably knows, or their husband probably knows. The operator certainly knows. But we haven't figured out how to tell the CEO, you're the problem.
Oh, that's such a good question. Okay. These are the major root cause bottlenecks that we see as being the common patterns and reasons that CEOs get stuck.
Yeah.
The first is the business owner clear on what it is that they want? That feels so basic, but you would be surprised how often that's the root cause. Because as entrepreneurs, we set out not knowing the version of the business that we're going to end up building. We're just taking it one step, one day at a time, not really thinking that far in the future. Right. And so even when it comes to something like an exit, like we know we want an exit. We may even have a number in mind for that exit. But do we know the exact version of the business that I want to build that will get me to that target valuation and will allow me to be happy, fulfilled, and successful along the way? How many clients I've worked with that are building a version of their business that they secretly hate.
I did that.
Right?
Yeah, I did
And
that.
it's such an easy mistake to fall into because we're chasing what we think is going to generate the most revenue, forgetting that if we're actually just optimizing for ourselves and what's going to light us up energetically, we will work so much harder. We will be so much more leveraged in the business. We're going to create more revenue inevitably. It's this crazy catch-22, right? That your business will be its most leveraged, effective version of itself when built towards you and around you. And then you have to figure out how to kick yourself out.
How not to be in it.
Yep.
The thing I thought about when you were talking about, they got to get clear on what this thing is. I often think, and I'm interested in your perspective on this, I often think maybe they don't even know that what they want is actually possible.
Say more about that.
Well, think about like when you first built your baby business, right? Even though you're an amazing operator and you're training people to do that, and you worked with and for visionaries, and you're like, if you would just focus on this thing. But I think about the people I work with, and often they don't even know what a world would look like if they had all these right people. So the things, the belief stuff, well, I can't afford them. Well, we could if we were following up with the leads that were actually looking for us. No, we do follow up. No, you don't. I have 17 examples of how small business owners do not follow up with the leads that are already looking for them. Can't even imagine that we could get to a place where we work half a day on Thursday and we don't work from Friday until Tuesday again. Because the way my world is constructed is I am the center of everything. So I can't even see that vision.
You used a word earlier in this event, optimize.
Yeah.
Right? And how, in general, founders are not wired or care much about optimization. I want to build. I want to launch. I want to do something new. I want the novelty.
Yeah.
I don't want to take something that's existed for 6 months, 6 years, and make it a little bit better every day.
Yeah. 1% better.
1% better. But that is what's going to allow every single lead to get followed up with.
Yeah.
That's what's going to allow you to go home on Thursday at noon, right? So again, the ultimate workaround we have found is to allow somebody else to optimize.
Right.
Operators love optimizing.
Yeah.
It's what we do as a habit.
Woo.
Ooh, give me that 1% gain.
Yeah.
Love it, right? So if you can, as a founder, know what you are uniquely skilled at and be willing to bring in the person that's going to take your incredible idea, the final 10%, that final 10% to excellent or efficient or optimized, you get to reap all of the efficiency gains and the benefits of that without having to rewire your brain towards something that you intrinsically don't care about.
And never are going to.
No.
I never advocate for people to make their weaknesses their strengths. I say, let's just work on it enough so it's not a stumbling block.
Love that.
The reason I'm mostly in love with optimization is, one, I'm a data person. I love data. So it's weird. I'm a visionary, but I love data in a spread. If we could put it on a spreadsheet, suddenly I understand and I'm with you.
Yeah.
But the reason I love optimization is, you know, if you can get this, and I always tell people to start closest to cash so you see the bigger thing right away. But if I can get this segment to perform this much more, I'm dropping more profit to the bottom line for the same amount of effort.
Yes.
So when we talk about exit, I have a t-shirt I'm going to wear tomorrow called the EBITDA Whisperer.
Okay.
When we find in each segment another % or two, and we start getting that 1 or 2 in all these different places, not creating new things, but getting these 1 and 2 and 0.5% all the way through. And then we start to realize it's the same amount of effort. It's the same number of team, but there's more pennies, nickels, and dollars dropping down on the other side of that. One, suddenly there's more money to go around and make new investments and all that. But on the exit side, we're increasing what we take away from this life's work.
Yeah.
But I have not met an entrepreneur yet, even if they believe they're optimizing. If they don't have a number 2 who is almost the exact opposite of them, and this is a challenge. We tend to hire people who are just like us. That's who we're comfortable with. But diversity cures all the problems. I'm not talking about diversity hires and all that stuff, but I don't love details. I got to hire people who love details, right? If I didn't love spreadsheets, I got to hire somebody who makes spreadsheets and teaches me how to use them, right? Or understand them. It does not make sense for us to make new things when the old things could probably create way more profit if we would just focus on them for a minute. But I cannot find an entrepreneur, small business owner, who has spent the kind of time we spent in corporate. This is where I learned this. Optimizing each segment of the business and each quarter picking one thing we're going to focus everybody on. And if there's still more to get, guess what next quarter we're doing? The same thing. But it's like, you know, in the corporate side, I grew up in a publicly traded company. It's like, if we don't figure out how to make more profit, we're doing a layoff. So it was very real. We don't do that in the entrepreneurs. We keep people for way too long, right?
Yeah.
So I love optimization because it's like what we already have can give us so much more. If I can get you to just let me focus on it, not you don't have to do it,
but you have to set me up for success to do it.
Get your love and excitement somewhere else besides this business. And then we're all happy, healthy, wealthy, and whole, right? So you have some experience with getting your CEOs to let your operator focus on optimization long enough? And what's the secret to getting them to do that?
So, okay, there's 100 directions I could go with this. I'm so excited. I think it starts with understanding how operations links to the money pipeline. Because me as a CEO, I'm not, and I shouldn't do anything if I don't understand how it's going to increase my top line or my bottom line, right? And so, or decrease my bottom line. So the metaphor I give to help understand how operations connects is imagine your business is a bucket and sales and marketing are the piping water, money into that bucket, right? And the goal is we want as much water in the bucket as possible. Cool. Well, as we get more and more water in, cracks and gaps begin to appear in the bucket. And when it's small, the cracks are small.
Right.
Barely noticeable. Frankly, not worth optimizing because you're not losing that much money. But as the pipe grows, the bucket grows, the cracks grow.
Right.
So the CEO's unique genius is to focus on the pipe and to bring more water in. Let your operator focus on closing the cracks and the gaps.
Right.
But to your point, every optimization that they make drops straight to the bottom line.
Right.
Because the water is already in the bucket.
We've already paid to get that water.
It's already there. We don't have to spend another dollar. We just keep the water in the bucket. And so all of that drops direct to your bottom line and becomes profitability.
And what you said it, it's like, what are they doing? Oh, we need to launch a new offer and get, ideal client number 3.
Yes.
I need more leads.
Yes.
I got to find a media buyer who can spend enough money every month. Like those are all the symptoms of there's not enough water coming out on the other side.
Right.
And if they don't have a number 2, it's even worse. But at least if they have somebody they respect who can argue with them and say, no, we could get this up to X% if you would just stay out of my office. And
But that's where the operator has a responsibility, right? Because I failed in this so beautifully, like catastrophically when I was a COO, because I just assumed that they saw the business the way I did.
Yeah.
How do I translate something like culture? We talked about mission, vision, core values. How do I put a $ to culture?
Yeah.
Because if I can, then my CEO is going to give me the time, the energy, the budget to go fix the culture problem, right? To go hire better people, to go kick out all of our toxic team members, whatever, right? So it's our responsibility as operators not to just see the problem, not to just know how to fix it, but to actually be able to translate our lens into the lens that the rest of the team, starting with the CEO, can understand.
Yeah.
Because without that, we'll never get the buy-in.
Yeah.
And so it's as good as useless to know what the solution is if you can't actually roll it out and get people to buy into it, use it, and make the company better.
Is that one of the things you do in your program is help the number 2 speak CEO?
100%.
COO whisperer? Turn them into the CEO whisperer?
Pretty much, right? Because again, I think it's our responsibility. Because what's our job? Our job isn't to build the best system. Our job is to build a more efficient company.
Yeah.
And if our lack of ability to communicate or translate or get buy-in on an idea blocks it, then we're not doing our job, right? So again, I didn't realize this at first. I just did what I thought my job was. I just built all these great systems and then got pissed when nobody used them, right?
Seen that before.
Yeah. So how do we as operators go a step further, take on more than maybe our fair share of the communication load, and recognize that our visionaries literally just don't see the cracks. They don't see the leaks.
And have no interest in it, actually.
Optimization is not where they thrive.
Yeah.
And thank God, because if operators ran the world, nothing would ever get done. There'd be no water coming into the bucket.
We'd be having big visions.
100%. So we need the yin and yang. But something that you said earlier sparked this for me. The greatest challenge that people run into for hiring operators, this is ultimately why we ended up launching our recruitment service and actually finding operators for our clients, is because when they go out to hire someone, the confirmation bias kicks in and they think, okay, I do a great job of running this business. If I want somebody else to run this business, I want them to do it just like me. I'm looking for a mini me.
Yeah.
But then what do you get? You get 2 visionaries.
Yeah.
Even more water into an even leakier bucket.
Yeah. I remember when I was this is way back in my corporate career. And I'm an INTJ and an Enneagram 8. So we don't come off as warm and fuzzy and whatever, right?
You?
So I got lots of feedback, you're a bull in a china shop and all that.
Yeah.
It was just what led me on my transformation journey, which every CEO has to have their transformation journey. And I remember thinking, okay, so people need hand holding. My instinct was not to learn, and I'm a nurse, right? That was my first career. My instinct was not to go learn how to do hand holding. My instinct was I got to hire people who hold hands. And I have done that.
I love that.
That was the first time I realized I don't have to become everything that people need.
Yes.
I got to hire people who hold hands. This is amazing. Yeah. I wish I'd thought of this sooner.
Yeah.
So I don't want to paint myself as a cold fish who doesn't care, but I'm more like, let's solve my first career was emergency room nursing. You know, it was like, we got to solve the bleeding artery right now, right?
Yep.
So if you had one piece of advice for the CEO and one piece of advice for the COO, like, you want to exit, you want, you know, more than 3x, you want 4x, 5x, 6x. That's the thing that's going to get them to hear us, right? What's the one thing you would say to each of them so that they can, like, see the other's perspective, hear the other's language, and say, okay, like, I understand now why you need what you need, and I'm not going to be so judgy about, and it's not about, I don't like you, it's, I can't hear you, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say to them?
That is the first time I've ever been asked that question. That's a genius question. To the visionary, I would say, the CEO, I know it sounds like we've done a lot of visionary bashing on this episode. Quite the opposite.
But we love the visionaries. At least I do. I'm one of them.
We need them, right? I love them. They're incredible. I need them. The company needs them. In fact, it's a celebration of all that they are, and it's an invitation to not force themselves to step outside of that. Right? You don't have to be every solution for your business. This is the permission slip to leverage the hell out of yourself and do exactly what you do best, which is be a visionary. Hold the vision for the business and see it over the finish line, because you're so close, right? CEOs fail to recognize that they are the most valuable resource within their own company.
Right.
And so they spend all their time and energy doing low value work, trying to learn SOPs, do all this stuff. When in fact, if their time and energy is that valuable, spending it on the things that only they can do. And if you don't know what those things are, go work with Lani, right? Like, she will tell you. She'll just tell you.
Get over here and you're like,
that's right. This is what you need to do. This is how you get your business that final mile. Right? So it's a celebration of all that you are. Keep going, just utilize it and leverage it in the right direction. What I would tell the operator, I had a mentor of mine, Alex and Layla Hermosi, are a pretty iconic visionary operator couple. And Layla told me once that a visionary and operator pair are like the gas and the brake pedal of a car. There is an intrinsic tension between the gas and the brake. And the gas will always want to move faster, and the brake will always want to slow things down, but you need both to drive the car safely. So recognize the value of that and work with your visionary so they can see and understand and respect you for the value you bring.
I 100% agree with you. And I would add the visionary, the CEO, the founder, the small business owner, whatever identity tag this person has on them, they have to be the one to say, I don't like holding hands. Other people are really good at holding hands. The person who likes to hold hands is probably going to have personality characteristics that drive me crazy. But the people need hand holding. So I got to do what I need to do to accommodate that, which is the same thing. It's like, if I don't love details and I get a number 2, 'cause they're detail people. I have to say, I'm hiring you for all these things I want, especially details, and maybe operators probably aren't hand holders either. It's an extreme overgeneralization, but I'm hiring you because I don't want to do the details and I don't want to do the doing. I want to achieve the vision. To get there, somebody's got to love the details. So I've got to make space to hear you and do my own work and my own evolution to be able to say, Jhana's going to show up in my office and get me to focus on data and segments. And she's going to need resources to do stuff I think is crazy. But if I don't do that, we're not going to get where we need to be. And I think I have to own that as the CEO, founder, small business owner, entrepreneur, whatever it is. So yes, number 2's got to say, I got to communicate in a way that they're hearing me, and I got to understand that I might be it might feel like I'm going uphill, and it might feel like the brake and the gas pedal are in friction, and the car is, feeling like this, and I'm frustrated, and I'm pretty soon going to bang my head on the steering wheel. Yes, and if I'm going to have a vision to reach the world and change them and transform them and do all those things, I have to understand I need you to be able to do that. So I got to create the space for you to feel safe to push me where I don't want to go.
Yes.
When I was, let's see, I'm going to say somewhere in my 40s, I came to a new facility. I was the CEO, and it was kind of a tumultuous reason. I often was hired as the turnaround person. So like people were gone or people needed to leave, and I was hired to make all that happen. So I was giving a counseling situation, and I was ending with, it's always easier to find a job when you have one. So now's a good time to go get that job, because the next time we meet, I'm probably going to be handing you the final check. That is not usually a CEO conversation, but in a turnaround situation, you're often the only person standing to do it. And so, they went on their merry way. And if I remember correctly, that person did resign. But anyway, afterwards, the 27-year-old HR director who had just been promoted to HR director by me, she's like, okay, all of that was good. I like this, but I need to give you some feedback. And in my head, I've been hearing my entire life, I'm intimidating, I'm a bull in a china shop, people can't get a word in edgewise. And I'm like, I had to do a lot of development. And I thought to myself, I had to keep her on my team for the rest of my life, because she's not afraid of me. She's about to tell me stuff I don't really want to hear and probably don't agree with, right? I promoted her when I left my corporate job. She came into my entrepreneurial space. We're still connected. She still does things for me. And I'm like, I can never let go of her because she's not afraid of me.
Yep.
And that is the work of the founder, CEO, whatever label they want to put on themselves.
Totally agree.
Otherwise, that number 2 is never going to be safe to say, I've got some feedback. You're totally screwing things up here.
Yep.
We're going to drive over a cliff, and I cannot launch one more idea.
I completely
Everybody
agree.
else wants to quit, and you're the problem.
Right? Yes, 100%. And to the operators who don't know how to have that conversation, number 1, it's a skill. You can learn it. You can practice it. And sometimes it's the funniest thing when we come in and we do this ops inspection, we call it this audit. We're pretty much telling the CEO things that the operator and the team have known for months, if not years. We're interviewing the operator, the team. That's where we're pulling so much of this data from. We're just presenting it to the CEO in a way where they can hear it,
Finally hear it.
internalize it, take ownership for it, understand it, and action it,
Yeah.
right? And so if you're feeling really, really stuck, it's the operators or the team's job to also get the help that they need to help the CEO understand what they need to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing dynamic tension. So
Love it.
if people want to get in touch with you, follow you, get your thingy that helps them do something faster, where should they go?
Well, if you want my thingy that can help you do something faster, you can find me on Instagram is the best way to connect at the Jhana Li. And I am in my own inbox. DM me if you have any questions, aha moments. I would love to help. Or just book a call with my team, which you can also do at our website, spyglassops.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah.
I really feel like everybody out there in YouTube and podcast land will get so much value from everything that you shared. And it's interesting to be the CEO and the operator. Like, I'm thinking of all of my experiences, and even though I haven't worked with you like that, like seeing you in that way.
We would probably work well together.
Yeah, pretty fun. Pretty fun. So,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This was a blast.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right.